Canada's Parliament resumes sitting tomorrow, January the 26th, 2026. And there's a lot of chatter about whether Pierre Poilievre is going to be able to actually provide a constructive presence in Parliament and constructive feedback and suggestions for government, given what's happening with the United States, that we all know about the threats that we're under. And, when Parliament sat again in September after Poilievre won his by-election, there was a lot of chatter at that time. Was Poilievre going to soften his stance? Was he going to be more constructive? We were under the threat of the United States then, and he just wasn't able to do it. He continued with his very, very aggressive stance, his accusations, his lies, his grandstanding in Parliament, his stymieing of parliamentary committees, especially the Justice Committee, which had some very important pieces of legislation that it's trying to get passed. And he has instructed his members to filibuster that committee and to block anything in terms of its progress. So after Mark Carney's speech in Davos, he made his little 11.5 or 12-minute speech, most of which was just, again, accusations against Carney and based on erroneous information, as he always does. He does not have his facts. What he has is his ideology and his belief system. But as I've talked about repeatedly in all these videos, nothing that he says is based in really any fact for the most part. And so again, I'm seeing all these pundits on TV saying that this was a very somber speech. This is what we've been waiting for with him. It was constructive. He looked like a leader, like potentially a statesman. And I didn't see that at all. He basically looked like the same Pierre Poilievre. Very poor production quality in this video, which is odd for somebody who wants to be prime minister. And then what he said, again, it just made absolutely no sense and wasn't helpful. And it was accusatory. So people are thinking, again, is he going to tomorrow behave in a more constructive manner? And my prediction, as it was in September, is that he's not capable of doing that. This is not a nice man. This is not an intelligent man. And he is an attack dog, and he lies, and he is unpleasant. And he likes that. He likes the attention that he gets for that. And so that is not going to change at all from what I can see. Now, he has written a letter to the Prime Minister like he did in September and offering his suggestions. And again, he talks about food prices. He says that that's because of the Liberal government and taxes, which isn't true. There's no reputable economist that I know that says that. Food prices are because of climate change, supply chain, and corporate gouging. Interestingly, I saw a rancher, I believe from Alberta, on the news yesterday. He was being interviewed because now China, because of Mark Carney's agreement, is going to accept Canadian beef, which is fantastic for ranchers. And when he was asked about the price of beef, he said that that's because of drought. He didn't talk about taxes. So Poilievre talks about, he wants a pipeline, always that pipeline, and that needs to happen really quickly, even though there's no private proponent. He doesn't acknowledge the MOU with Danielle Smith, doesn't acknowledge the major projects office. He talks about fuel costs, and he says very definitively that fuel costs are going up 7 cents per liter this year because of a measure that came in 2023 before Mark Carney. And I looked that up. That isn't correct. There was costs associated with that measure. Whatever they are basically estimates. They're not written in stone. So again, he doesn't tell the truth. The funniest thing about that letter is that he offers himself or his party members to sit on the negotiating team with the United States, to assist in the negotiation process with the United States. Now, Mark Carney might take him up on that just because he's playing him, but there is nobody in that party that is capable or competent enough to do that. So it's quite, from my perspective, hilarious that he would actually think that Mark Carney would agree to take one of his MPs, such as they are, onto a negotiating committee, but who knows? Now, Mark Carney, on the other hand, has announced tonight that he is going to introduce some very concrete affordability measures for Canadians tomorrow morning, I believe, before they go into Parliament. And that's going to include quite a significant increase in the GST rebates that people are getting, as well as a one-time lump sum GST rebate, I believe that's coming in... when is that coming? In June. So that'll actually put money in people's pockets, unlike the drivel that Poilievre talks about, which is based on his ideology and it's not based on reality. And again, this is the guy that votes against everything. Mr. Carney's also going to announce measures related to increased assistance for food banks, efforts to expand local production, and longer-term goals to increase competition in the sector. And Wab Kinew has done this in Manitoba. He announced that he is going to introduce measures that will increase competition, I believe, in the grocery sector, and so that should hopefully have some positive impact on prices. So Mark Carney is, as he always does, getting out of the gate running, and I'll look forward to seeing what he announces. And again, these will be very concrete things that actually help people instead of the ideological sort of rhetoric of Poilievre, which would have no benefit to Canadians. So my prediction is a bit different than all of the pundits that I've seen that are expecting, again, based on his speech about Carney's speech in Davos, that Poilievre is going to be the statesman, that he's going to be a functioning, constructive parliamentarian and leader, is that he's not capable of that, and he's not going to be that. Now, he has his leadership convention coming up on the weekend. He is going to win that vote because it packed for him. However, his personal poll numbers are absolutely tanking, and they just keep getting worse. I just posted in my previous video the latest polling that I've seen, and it just keeps getting worse for him in comparison to Carney. So I think there is maybe a small sliver that he may try to behave a little bit more constructively this week. And if he can pull that off, I'm not sure that he can. And then once he wins that leadership review, if not earlier, he will just revert back to the usual grandstanding, sort of accusatory, incompetent liar that he is. I don't think that he has anything else in him, and I'm kind of surprised that these pundits actually think that this might change for him. So again, we'll be watching. I'll be watching tomorrow morning because I'm home, and see how long it takes for him to start again.